Welcome, everyone. It's Matt. Today, we're going to talk about Abra Max Monday. Starting this Monday on September 15th, Abra is going to be one of the better D-Maxes that we've seen in quite a while. Let's get class started. All right, for Max Monday, we have Abra on the 15th with Chansey on the 22nd and Beldum on the 29th. Overall, we've been seeing Chansey pretty much every month for the past 4 months or so. And Beldum is still a very good unit, especially when you give it a bug attack. So overall, I think the end of the month is fairly strong with our best healer and a good damage sponge, and Beldum being a very good overall solid Pokemon in each stat. All right, let's go back to Dynamax Abra. Abra is a psychic, so it is going to take increased damage to Bug, Dark, and Ghost at taking 60% additional damage. And Abra takes reduced damage from Fighting and Psychic at 37.5%. Looking at Abra's stats, you can see that for a first evolution, it has a very high attack and slightly below average defense and stamina, and obviously its evolution is going to be a very strong attacker. Its IV is 712 to 767, with 767 being your hundo. Dynamax Abra evolves to Alakazam, and it takes 25 candy to get it from Abra to Kadabra, and 100 candy from Kadabra to Alakazam. And honestly, this is my favorite evolution for naming, as this is just pure genius, and it always has been. It does not gain an element, so it's still psychic only. It makes it not super useful for being a tank, but it is a very powerful psychic attacker. It does still take increased damage from Bug, Dark, and Ghost at plus 60%. Those are Pokemon that we don't really fight or go against very often. Now, Alakazam takes reduced damage from Fighting and Psychic at 37.5%, which are pretty useful overall. Looking at Alakazam stats, though, its CP is pretty good, especially for Gen 1. It's 3456 with a incredibly high 271 attack, 167 defense, and 146 stamina. The defense is slightly below average, but just slightly, and the stamina is well below average, unfortunately. Alakazam is not the greatest tank because it just doesn't really have the damage reduction and or defense, but its fast moves, it does have a 0.5 second move, a Psycho Cut. Personally, I highly suggest that you put that on in case you do need to attack with it. If you're fast enough to go back and forth and it is weak to a Psychic, then Alakazam is not a horrible choice. Confusion is 1.5 seconds. That is way too slow for Dynamax. And it does have a fighting move, but it requires a fast elite TM, and it's 1 second, and there's no reason to use it, as I'll show you in a little bit. For charge moves, overall, you're going to not really need to worry about it as Abra, but it does have a very large list of charge moves that you can use. Generally, we're going to just stick with Future Sight or Psychic. I'm going to be choosing Future Sight, but I don't use them at all for tanking, and Alakazam really doesn't need to be used as a tank in Dynamax battles. But if you just want it for other reasons, you do have a few other elements that you can choose from. All right, let's take a look at the damage capability for Psychic. Latios and Latias, basically Metagross and Hedorine, they're all upper echelon. But Alakazam is actually our strongest Psychic now. Originally, it was Latios, and Latios was incredibly powerful. Alakazam is slightly stronger. One of the powers is, unless if you have Latios already at level 50, and not a lot do, because the candies are a little lacking right now, not at least until we get another Latios raid. Most people have it at level 40. Alakazam is pretty simple, especially right now. Abras are fairly common out in the wild on top of it. So from it being relatively cheap as an easy to get for candies and being the most powerful psychic I do highly suggest that you try to at least get a pretty good Abra slash Alakazam, and at least leveling up to level 40. It is 2 to 4% stronger than Latios, stronger than Metagross, and Metagross has a 1 second move. You are going to be primarily using Metagross as a bug, but when Mega, as I say, we have Mega Metagross coming out. That's not a big deal right now. That's not going to affect DMAX. But right now, we are still waiting for the GMAX Psychic, and it does not look like it's coming out for this season. So Alakazam is definitely looking like it's going to be top of the Psychic board for a while right now. Fighting, Abra is actually behind Machamp and Urshifu, just in general, let alone GMAX Machamp. It is dead in the center. It is not horrible as a fighting unit as well. But Abra is just not the strongest in bending spoons compared to the other fighting Pokemon. GMAX Machamp just laughs at spoons as it bends steel. But all in all, it's still decent. But really, we're going to be choosing primarily for Psychic, and hence why we only really care about the 1.5 second Psychic attack. All right, for the Abra Mega units for Candy, we have a lot for Psychic here. We have Slowbro, Alakazam. It's always fun using Alakazam to get more candy for Abra. Galad and Gardevoir. Metagross will be coming soon, sometime this season. We do have Mewtwo, X and Y, Metachamp, Latios, and Latias. For the Dynamax Alakazam, my rankings here for fighting, it's a 7 out of 10. There's quite a few 7 of 10s out there, but really we're going to be focusing on Psychic, which is 10 out of 10. It is our best Psychic attacker, and that's what we really care about. For tanks and healers for both Fighter and Psychic, it's a 3 out of 10 for tank, and really a 1 out of 10 for the healer. And for general Pokemon in normal, just looking at the overall power and just ignoring any potential element boost, it is still a really strong DMAX. It's a 9 out of 10. And because of that, I do highly suggest that you farm for the Max Monday as hard as you can. For a tank, though, it's a 2, and a healer, it's a 1. You're really only using this as a finisher, but Psychic has a really powerful niche in the overall ecosystem. So this is a highly desirable Pokemon to get and level up. My battle plans, this is either going to be a 1 or a 2-star. The IVs are right on the edge of the 2-star. So I'm going to guess it is a 2-star battle. If it is a 1-star battle, I will be farming this throughout the entire week. If it's a 2-star battle, it will be a little less, just because it's a bit too expensive to farm a great deal, especially with the XP quest that we have until October 15th. If it is a 1-star battle, though, and you do need to win 8, 10, 12, or whatever max battles, Abra will be a very solid choice, as I think it's going to be a Pokemon we're going to be used quite a bit for some of the harder GMAX battles that we'll be getting later down the line. And as I say, it's relatively easy to level up. Personally, I will be using Gengar against the Abra. My GMAX Gengar should make it melt instantly. But honestly, just avoiding Psychic and fighting Pokemon will be fine. Urshifu Single Strike and Metagross using Furry Cutter, not using any Psychic. And Butterfree are also good choices. It's probably for me going to be my Gengar and Metagross and go to town. It should melt pretty much instantly. Is Abra worth it for you? Yeah. It really is. This is one of the few DMAXs that you really should go fairly hard for. Fairly hard is probably spending 2,000 max points over the week for. And if you do play max points every day, this is something that you should try and hunt a little bit around your area to get every single day. It is our best Psychic attacker and a very powerful one overall. With the candy that should be available, since it's been in the game since day one, it should be one of the easier Pokemons to level up and to use. I highly suggest every single trainer get it to level 40, and you can only need to focus on its max attack. So, as I say, it's just not that expensive to level up. Just don't use as a tank. It's really not worth it if you want to put shields on Abra, because you always do for your main attackers as a last resort. That's fine, and it can be used as a last resort, but it will melt. All right, we have the Urshifu hunt, what to look for September 9th. It's pretty busy for this week. For single strike, we just have Sableye and the Shadow Absol. For Rapid Strike, we have Squirtle, Krabby, Sable, Whalmer for D-Max, and for Raids, we have Magikarp and Mega Gyarados. For the 16th, we don't really have that much. We have our normal Sableye, Squirtle, Krabby, Sable, Whalmer, and for the 16th, we've also got Shadow Absol. So the week of Abra is going to be relatively light for us to do Urshifu. I'm finally done with my Urshifus. Now just trying to power them up, which is really hard considering how hard it is to get candy. But all in all, that's all I have for class today. If you like this, please like and subscribe. That really helps my channel. You can also follow me on twitch.tv/MattGuru. I've started to put some of my files up for paid members on my Patreon. Those are in my links in my community page. You can also join me as a community member. Both most of my paid Patreons and being a member of the community for YouTube, you can be a part of my raid group and be on my friends list if you so choose. And it greatly helps me out, allows me to get a coffee or two to get everything through. I do apologize for this being later than normal, but for some strange reason, cars keep crashing into my transformer, and we've been having trouble keeping power on in my neighborhood. So this is the first day so far that I've had power continuously. But with that, that's all I've got for class. And as long as I keep the lights on, or I should say, the community around me doesn't crash and keeps the lights on, I'll be trying to post a couple more videos over this week and next week. And also, as I say, a lot of it too is I've been trying to get through the XP challenges. I'm on the 26th page right now, and that's requiring me a lot of walking, which has been great for my training for a half marathon. But it's definitely making my legs a little bit numb and making me a little less wanting to do a megaton of videos this month. So I do apologize. I will be picking it up, though. I do promise. Especially, I am going to start working on my GMAX videos that I expect for this month. Or not this month, this season. So with that, that's all I've got. Class is dismissed. But as always, I'll try to do better next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.